New background, huh? Okay. It's been a while, but hopefully the new background explains everything, which is good because we have more important things to get to. Let's get I can't say let's get Kraken. Will already did. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most universally praised balisongs, which in a hobby like this is incredibly impressive and rare. I have a super special limited edition Damascus Bowie Kraken, which I was lucky enough to get at Blade Show because they found an unsold one buried in a drawer underneath a bunch of stuff, and I was just the first one to raise my hand when they asked who wanted it. It has matte finished handles and then the obvious Bowie Damascus blade, but other than that, it is functionally identical to a normal Kraken. I actually had a dual tone Kraken that I had bought before the Damascus Kraken at Blade Show, and when I had both of them, I compared them. There's not really too much of a difference. People say there's a difference. I didn't really feel or get it, so. On the other side of things, I have the, oh my God. On the other side of things, I have the Kraken Trainer, which will allow me to not only compare the live blade to the trainer, but it will also allow me to compare little differences between the matte finish and the glossy finish, or even small things like the dual tone versus non-dual tone. Let's start off with the design, because I cannot hide how much I love the Bowie Kraken. The curve of the blade, the line going down the handles with the hole cutouts interspersed, it is a beautiful, aesthetically pleasing knife that I absolutely love. I prefer the Bowie over the Tanto variant because the Tanto just seems too small and thin to me. The Bowie version fills out the handles a lot more and just looks overall better in my opinion. The live blade Kraken makes an incredibly pleasing clack every time I flip it that is just amazing to listen to. While the Trainer, on the other hand, is a different story. It makes an absolutely ear-piercing, headache-inducing ring that gave me a migraine for hours after I flipped it for just 15 minutes without this tape. Besides the ring, I don't really like the design. The handles are obviously exactly the same, so I feel the same about them as I do the live blade, but the Trainer blade just doesn't do it for me. I don't know if it's the square cutout in all of like the rest of the circular design language. It just seems confused to me. It just seems a bit weird, and I overall don't really like it that much. Durability is largely the same in both boats, with the Trainer getting a slight edge in this category because you don't have to maintain a sharp edge or watch out for the tip. Both are constructed out of high quality 7075 aluminum. They can handle drops relatively easily. I dropped one into concrete, didn't really scuff up too much. You don't want to beat them, obviously, they're no titanium, but they will hold up to a few drops, and the tolerances are absolutely immaculate. I have not had to tune either one of my live blade or my Trainer once since I got it. The live blade is also equipped with a good blade steel that holds an edge relatively well. I usually don't discuss feel in the hand as its own category, but something needs to be said about the feel of Squid's balisongs. All of Squid's products have a level of polish to them that is a level above any other maker I've seen in the community. There are some really good things coming out of other makers, don't get me wrong, and they're all doing amazing things, but Squid's feel in the hand has always just remained a step above, and I think that comes down to not only their great quality aluminum, but also the amazing feeling of the anodizations that they have in their balisongs. They feel almost soft to the touch, and the subtle texture on the faces of the Kraken feel expertly machined and very pleasing to the hand. It is a real standout of Squid products. Now, what about those small differences I mentioned before? Matte versus glossy largely comes down to personal preference, with me preferring the matte texture as it just feels overall more grippy to me. I will say the glossy does feel a bit more premium in the hand, but I do lose grip on it more often than I do on the matte. Whereas someone like Ty said he prefers the glossy finish because he finds the matte slips out of his hand. So much like the Tanto versus Bowie debate, matte versus glossy is personal preference, and it's largely just going to come down to which one you like better personally. Now, the dual tone versus non-dual tone is very interesting because the dual tone handles, the cutouts, feel a lot sharper. They feel like they're less finished, and I think I have a theory for this. I believe it's because when you do dual tone, you have to cut out these lines after it's already been anodized, whereas on a non-dual tone, you don't have to do that, so you anodize over the cutouts, which in my head at least, makes it so that the anodization would smooth out those edges just a little bit better than it would be on the dual tone Kraken. Now, some people say that this sharpness gives you a bit more grip. I personally think it just feels a bit weird. It's nothing bad by any means, but I definitely prefer the feel of the cutouts on a non-dual tone variant. Now, you might notice a distinct lack of me talking about the Tanto Kraken, and that's because I personally don't own one. So I reached out to Ty, who's had an opportunity to test a Tanto Kraken for an extended period of time, and he had this to say. The Tonto Kraken has the slightest bit more tip weight, so it fans and carries momentum ever so slightly better, but it's barely noticeable. And from my experience with Tontos at Blade Show, I largely agree with that. Fanning felt better on Tonto. Tonto felt slightly more neutral, probably due to the carrying momentum better than that Ty mentioned. But otherwise, if you were to blindfold someone and hand them a Bowie and a Tonto, I really don't know if they could tell the difference unless they were a really, really crazy good flipper. Who knows? Might be an interesting thing to do one day. Finally, there is obviously the radical difference in balance from the trainer to the live blade. But we'll get into that more in the flipping section, which conveniently is right now. Ah, finally, the flipping section. The thing that I have been waiting for this whole time. I want to start off with the live blade. It has an ever so slight handle bias to make things like rollovers and chaplains feel amazing while still being neutral enough to fan really, really well. Grip is fantastic all around, from the jimping to the cutouts on the side of the handle to the textures on the faces. It is one of the grippiest balisongs that I have had the pleasure of flipping. There's definitely a reason it's considered the golden standard of flipping, although that golden standard does bring an interesting point where some people feel that the Kraken feels too boring in its flipping. Because it is such a conventionally good flipper and a template for so many other balisongs, balance-wise, a lot of people don't find that it has the uniqueness that it needs to stay in their collection or stay interesting to them. I personally don't really mind it because it is such a quality experience that every time I come back to it, it just feels incredible. And I can't help but stand in awe of Squid's amazing balisong that they have created. I still love the Kraken just as much as I did when I first got to try one months ago. The Kraken trainer, however, is again a different story. Squid wanted to make the trainer feel a lot different from the live blade, and they certainly succeeded on that front. The trainer feels radically more handle biased than the live blade, resulting in it absolutely gluing itself to your fingers when you do chaplains or rollovers, but making it suffer slightly in its fanning performance, which is the main reason a lot of people don't find themselves liking the Kraken trainer very much. A lot of people say that the Kraken trainer is garbage and that you should avoid it at all costs, and to those people I just say, why? Sure, it's different from the live blade, but to say that it is complete trash for that fact is completely stupid, because what Squid is offering for the price is a really, really solid trainer, from build quality to flipping experience to materials used. For the price that it's at, the Kraken trainer, while it might not fit my preferences, is still a lot better than some other more expensive trainers that I've tried in my time. And I think it's just a really solid pick for the price, especially blemished or secondhand. Now the Kraken is good, but is it my favorite balisong? This is usually when I would say like no, and then go on a tangent about how no balisong is perfect, and then talk about my gripes with it, but I legitimately don't have any gripes with the live bladed Kraken. It is my absolute favorite thing in my collection, even beating out things that I love, like my Nemesis V2, review coming soon, and just being an overall polished and amazing experience. Kraken trainer, again, comes in to sort of spoil the party, but not that bad. Because if I could change one thing about the Kraken trainer, I would change the balance. I would definitely prefer if it was closer to the live blade, especially as someone who doesn't have my live blade with me because I'm on campus now. I would like to have that experience still with me rather than something that feels very, very different. Although, having said that, the Kraken trainer is still very unique and still very fun. And with it having the same handles as the live blade Kraken, the balance is really the only thing that comes down to differences that I don't really like about it. Meaning that it is still a really solid balisong with very few downsides. But overall, both of these balisongs are extremely good, and I highly recommend them to anyone looking for their next best flipper. And that's pretty much it for me. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this went in depth enough for you, going through all the differences between all the different variations of the Kraken. Sorry for the long wait on this one. I am back at school now, so uploads are going to slow down a little bit. But if you want more content from me, we have been daily uploading on my second channel, Blade Bias, with Ty. So go check that out if you're interested. Other than that, all the usuals. Check out my Instagram, join the Discord, subscribe if you enjoyed. It would really help me out. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have schoolwork to go do. I'm not going to do anything interesting. I'm going to do schoolwork. Probably flip. Do some other stuff in there. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Well, let's be real. I'll see you in like a month or two. Later.